Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going behind the scenes of something you probably use every day without even thinking about it, Google search. Have you ever wondered how Google actually finds all those websites and decides which ones to show you in the results?
It's a question most people don't think about. It just works right.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot happening behind the scenes to make that magic happen. And understanding it is crucial if you have a website you want people to actually find.
That's where our deep dive comes in today. We've got a fascinating article here by SEO expert Ralf Dodler titled Indexierung wie Google Webseiten findet und analysiert. And it's packed with insights into the process Google uses to discover, analyze, and rank websites. This
Mhm.
isn't just some abstract tech topic. It's the difference between your website being a hidden gem or a top search result.
It's a bit like imagining the internet as a vast, ever-expanding jungle. You could have the most amazing website out there, but if Google can't find it and put it on the map, it's essentially lost in the wilderness.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute basics. What exactly is Google indexing and why should we care?
At its core, indexing is Google's way of organizing the colossal amount of information on the internet. Imagine a librarian trying to catalog every single book article and piece of content out there. That's essentially what Google is doing.
So Google is like a giant library, and indexing is how it keeps track of all the books, or in this case, websites.
Exactly. But this isn't some static library. It's constantly changing and growing. Every day, new websites are created, old ones are updated, and information is constantly flowing. Google's challenge is to keep up with all of this and make sure it can deliver relevant results when someone searches for something.
So how does Google actually do this? I'm picturing an army of digital librarians frantically trying to keep up.
Well, it's actually a highly automated process, and it all starts with something called crawling. Imagine a tiny digital spider called Googlebot venturing out onto the web and following links from one page to another, kind of like an explorer mapping out new territory.
So these bots are constantly crawling the web, following links to discover new pages and revisit old ones to see what's changed. But how do they know where to start?
There are a few ways Google discovers websites. Sometimes it's through external links, if another website links to yours. Googlebot can follow that link and find you. You can also submit a sitemap through Google Search Console, which acts like a roadmap for your website, guiding the bots to all the important pages.
So it's like creating a welcome mat for Googlebot saying, hey, come on in and take a look around. But what happens once Googlebot finds a page? Does it just add it to the index right away?
Not quite.
Hmm.
This is where things get a little more complex, especially with the way websites are built today. In the past, most websites were pretty straightforward, mostly text and images all laid out in simple HTML code. Googlebot could easily understand this and add it to the index. But now many websites rely heavily on JavaScript to create interactive elements, load content dynamically, and make the user experience more engaging.
So websites have become more like interactive apps than static pages. I can see how that might make things tricky with Googlebot.
Exactly. Imagine Googlebot trying to understand a website where the content is constantly changing or appearing based on user interactions. It's like trying to read a book where the words rearrange themselves every time you turn the page.
Okay, that's where I imagine this rendering step comes in, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Because of this increasing complexity, Google needs to do more than just read the basic code of a web page. It needs to actually run the code, simulating what a user would see when they visit the page. This process is called rendering, and it allows Google to understand the full scope of a website's content, even the parts that are hidden behind JavaScript.
So rendering is like Google putting on a pair of virtual reality goggles and experiencing the website just like a human visitor would. But what if something goes wrong during this process? Could parts of a website become invisible to Google?
That's a real concern, and it highlights why website owners need to be aware of how rendering works. If Googlebot encounters errors while trying to render a page, it might not be able to fully understand the content, which could impact how that page is indexed and ranked. It's like having a beautiful interactive website, but Google can only see a blurry, incomplete version of it.
So even if we can see the website perfectly, Google might be missing out on key elements. What kind of things can cause rendering problems?
One common issue is blocked JavaScript files. Sometimes website owners accidentally prevent Googlebot from accessing the JavaScript code. It needs to render the page properly. It's like giving Googlebot a map to your website, but blocking off all the important roads.
Okay, so we need to make sure those roads are clear for Googlebot. But what about slow rendering speeds? Could that also be a problem?
Absolutely. If a website takes a long time to render, Googlebot might simply give up and move on, missing out on valuable content. Remember, Google is all about speed and efficiency and doesn't have time to wait around for slow-loading websites.
It's like trying to have a conversation with someone who takes forever to respond. Eventually, you just lose interest and move on. So speed is crucial both for the user experience and for Google's understanding of the website.
Precisely. And that's why it's so important to test how Google renders your website and make sure everything is working smoothly. There are tools like Google Chrome's Lighthouse that can simulate Googlebot's rendering process and help you identify any potential issues.
So we've got Googlebot crawling the web, following links, and discovering new pages. Then we have this rendering step where Google essentially puts on its virtual reality goggles to experience the website as a human visitor would. What comes next in this digital odyssey?
Once Google has crawled and rendered a web page, it moves on to the next stage, processing. This is where it really starts to analyze the content it has gathered to understand what the page is about, who it's for, and how it should be categorized in the vast index of the web.
All right, let's dive into processing in part two. Okay, we left off with Googlebot crawling and rendering our website like a digital explorer. Now it's time for the real detective work, processing. What's going on in this stage?
Think of processing as Google putting on its detective hat and examining all the evidence it's gathered about your web page. It's analyzing the content, looking for clues to understand what the page is about, what topics it covers, and who might be interested in it.
So Google's looking for more than just keywords here, right? It's trying to understand the context and meaning behind the words.
Exactly. It's like the difference between skimming a book and actually reading it carefully. Google wants to understand the nuances of your content, not just pick out a few isolated words.
Okay, so what are some of the specific clues Google looks for during processing?
Well, it starts with the obvious things. Your title tags and meta descriptions. These are like the headline and summary that appear in search results. So they're crucial for making a good first impression and enticing people to click.
It's like judging a book by its cover, even though we're always told not to.
But online, that cover is often all people have to go on. Google knows that, so it pays close attention to these elements.
Okay, so we need a catchy title and a compelling description to grab attention. But what about the content itself? What's Google looking for there?
It analyzes the headings, you use the main body text, and even the images and alt text associated with those images. It's trying to understand the overall topic of your page, how well written it is, and whether it provides valuable information to users.
So Google's really reading between the lines here, trying to get a sense of the quality and relevance of our content.
And it's getting more sophisticated all the time. It can now understand synonyms and related concepts, so you don't have to cram your page with the same keyword over and over again.
That's good news for those of us who value good writing over keyword stuffing. But are there any common pitfalls website owners should avoid during this processing stage? I imagine there are some things that can really trip Google up.
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest red flags is duplicate content. If Google finds the same content on multiple websites, it can get confused about which one is the original and most authoritative source. It's like trying to figure out which book is the original when you have multiple copies with slightly different covers.
So we need to make sure our content is original and unique. But what about missing metadata like those title tags and descriptions we talked about earlier? Could that also cause problems?
Definitely. If Google doesn't have that information, it has to make assumptions about what your page is about, and those assumptions might not be accurate. It's like trying to guess the genre of a book without reading the title or the back cover.
Okay, so we need to make sure Google has all the information it needs to understand our website. Are there any tools that can help us with this?
Absolutely. Google Search Console is a fantastic resource for this. It can show you how Google is interpreting your website's data, identify any errors or missing information, and give you insights into how to optimize your content for better processing.
So it's like having a direct line to Google where we can check in and make sure everything is running smoothly.
Exactly. And it's a must-have tool for any website owner who wants to take control of their indexing and visibility.
All right, we've covered crawling, rendering, and now processing. It sounds like Google's really putting our website through the paces here. But I imagine all this effort is worth it if it means our website will actually show up in search results when someone's looking for what we offer.
You're absolutely right. All of these steps lead up to the ultimate goal, getting your website indexed and ranked by Google. But that final stage indexing is where Google makes the crucial decision about whether your website deserves a place in its vast library of the web.
Okay, so that brings us to the moment of truth, right? The final verdict. Let's talk about indexing and what factors influence Google's decision in part 3. All right, we've journeyed with Googlebot as it crawled, rendered, and processed our website. Now it's judgment day. Does our site get a coveted spot in Google's index, or is it relegated to the digital dustbin?
It's a bit dramatic, but yeah, this is the culmination of all those steps we've been discussing. Google has all this data about your website, and now it needs to decide, is this site high quality? Is it relevant? Does it deserve to be included in search results?
So it's like an audition for the internet. What are the judges looking for, and how do we make sure we get a standing ovation?
The good news is that Google is pretty transparent about what it considers high quality. It all boils down to providing a good user experience. Think about it from your own perspective. What makes you love a website?
Well, first and foremost, the content has to be relevant to what I'm looking for. I want to find the information I need quickly and easily.
Exactly. Google values websites that offer valuable original content that actually answers searchers' questions. No keyword stuffing or thin, useless pages. Google can spot that a mile away.
So quality content is king, but it's not just about the words on the page, right? I also care about how a website looks and feels. If it's clunky and slow to load, I'm out of there.
You've hit on another crucial factor: user experience. Google wants to promote websites that are mobile-friendly, load quickly, and are easy to navigate. It's all about making the user's life as easy as possible.
It sounds like Google's really looking out for us users. But let's be honest, there are some shady websites out there trying to game the system. How does Google deal with spam and low-quality sites?
Google's algorithms are constantly evolving to combat spam and manipulation. One of the key signals it looks for is authority. Websites that are linked to by other reputable websites are seen as more trustworthy and valuable.
So it's like a popularity contest, but one where you earn your votes by being genuinely awesome.
Exactly. And those votes are crucial for getting indexed and ranked. Well, Google wants to show users the best, most authoritative results. So building a strong online reputation is essential.
Okay, so we've got quality content, great user experience, and strong authority. Anything else we need to worry about?
Well, there are some technical things that can trip you up. For example, if you accidentally include a noindex tag in your website's code, you're essentially telling Google to ignore your site.
That's like putting a do not enter sign on your front door.
Right. It's an easy mistake to make. So double-checking your code is essential. You also want to make sure your sitemap is up to date and submitted to Google Search Console, so Googlebot has a clear roadmap of your website.
So it's not enough to just build a great website. We also need to make sure Google can access it and understand it properly. It's like speaking Google's language.
Exactly. And that's why understanding the indexing process is so crucial. It's not some mysterious black box. It's a logical system that rewards websites that prioritize user experience and follow best practices.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. But I know our listeners are probably wondering, how long does it actually take to get indexed? Is there anything we can do to speed things up?
There's no magic button.
Mm.
Unfortunately, Google's time frame depends on a lot of factors,
Yeah.
but submitting your sitemap, ensuring a clear internal linking structure, and of course creating high-quality content are all signals that will help Google prioritize your site.
So focus on building a website that both users and Google will love. That's the winning formula.
Absolutely. And remember, the digital landscape is constantly changing. Search engines are becoming more sophisticated, user expectations are evolving, and new technologies are emerging.
So what does the future hold for indexing and website discoverability? What should our listeners be thinking about as they navigate this ever-changing world?
That's a great question. And honestly, no one knows for sure, but we can speculate. Voice search is already a huge factor, and visual search is gaining traction. We might even see search engines that can understand our emotions or predict our needs before we even articulate them.
It's exciting and a bit mind-blowing to think about.
The key takeaway is that website owners need to be adaptable and forward-thinking. Focus on building a strong online presence, create content that truly resonates with your audience, and embrace the ever-evolving nature of the internet.
That's fantastic advice. It sounds like the future of search is going to be an exciting adventure.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about how search engines work, the better equipped you'll be to adapt and thrive in the digital landscape.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Google indexing. We hope you've learned something valuable and are feeling empowered to optimize your website for maximum visibility. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.